Happy Monday to all of you. I am Adina. You guys are beyond the veil. I know that you guys are well. I know that you guys are amazing this Monday. I hope that you're blessed. I will wait for you guys to start filing on in. I'll wait for you guys to start filing in, and then we will begin this evening's little chat. How about that? Let me take a little swig of this beverage. Hey, Jasmine. Happy Monday. How are you? Good. Glad to see that you're doing good, honey. Now, where did I am in confusion? Oh, I feel a little discombobulated because I decided at the last minute to come and do this live. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to go to bed early, and then at the very last minute, I decided to hop in. Glad that you mentioned the F around and find out, because yes, that's why I was going to take tonight off so that I can get a good night's sleep for that ceremony. Speaking of the F around and find out, I have one of my swords here with me. I have decided to name her the Sword of Truth. Hey, Jack. I'm doing excellent. How are you? I'm doing even better now that you're here. Hey, Cordelia. I love that name. It sounds like a flower. Hey, JD. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you, Jack. Because of you, I will go on a little longer today. Thank you, The Quiet. We should have zebra babies together. Now, I'm not a zebra. So if you're a zebra, you should probably mate with other zebras. Comment, you just got home from school. Hope you had a good day. So, hi, Comment. Anyways, before I begin, I was just telling Jasmine, this is one of the swords from my new sword set. Not so new because it's very old, but mine, it's now my sword set. And I shared it with my members, and it's going to be one of these is going to be a part of the F around and find out. I'm probably going to use, thank you, Brandy. I'm going to unsheath it in a minute. I'm probably going to use one of the bigger swords for the F around and find out, because there are some bigger ones. But my spirits were saying, name this, because this is the smallest one of the set. It's a set of 3. And my spirits were telling me to name the smaller one the Sword of Truth. You guys like that? Hey, Chelsea. The Sword of Truth. And this one shall accompany me whenever I do readings. So this one is dedicated specifically, well, not specifically, but this is the one that's dedicated. Yes, JD, and it's from a Chinaman. This one will accompany me every time I'm doing public readings on YouTube. My spirit said, get your sword of truth. I will leave it sheathed unless a troll comes out. and then I will ungar and challenge them to joust. I shall challenge them to a joust. Just lost half of my viewers. When I pulled out that sword of truth, I dropped half my viewers, honey. So it works already. Really, Cordelia? No, JD, don't hide Cordelia. I don't think they're a troll. I'm going to unhide them. It doesn't seem like it's letting me unhide Cordelia. JD, can you unhide Cordelia? Can you? Hey, Phoenix. If you can, because she was being nice to me. Thank you. Welcome back, Cordelia. That was an accident. All right. So we are going to talk about two things tonight. First and foremost, we are going to, thank you, JD, appreciate it. First and foremost, sorry, Cordelia, it was a mistake. She thought you were a troll, but I told her to bring you on back. You were inviting me to a cave somewhere, and I really, really, really like caves. So please tell me about where this cave is that you were inviting me to. I used to do HR for a zip line and horseback riding and kayaking place, and they did gem mining. And they had about 5 or 6 caves. I did one of my album covers. I did it in one of the caves on the property because I used to escape from my long days of laboring in HR. I used to escape out to the canyons and go hide out in one of the caves. And it became a special place for me. And so I'm very fond of caves, actually, special caves, not all caves. Not the caveman caves, but the mystical caves. So it has to be mystical. You're from Hannibal, Missouri? That kind of scares me. I don't know if I want to visit Hannibal, Missouri, just because of Hannibal Lecter. Other than that, I probably would visit it. I might be the type of person to get into white vans if the right food is in there. If they've got the right spread of buffetage in that van, they might get me. They just might. Depending on what's in there, they just might get your girl. So, Maurice, word to the jackers, put out a nice spread, and the girl likes a bougie meal and a bougie wine. So I might. Is that a Cabernet and a? What is that? And then next thing I know, boom, I'm in the kidnapper van, full and confused. Speaking of kidnapper vans, we're going to be talking about trafficking. There is Matika. Hey, Matika. You just poured you a glass of wine. I know that's right. I didn't even feel like pouring me one. I look like Squidward, and so do you, Christopher Robin. Operation, let me find it. Operation Sotaria Shield. That is what we're discussing at this moment before I get on out of here and go read the book of Revelations with my members really quick. I'm going to read this article from a day ago from CBS News. It's plenty of them. It's even on the FBI website because they are in charge of busting this. But I'm just going to choose CBS News because it was the first click for me. Authorities call it a successful roundup of hello Brian, of child sex offenders. But it also shows how widespread the crime is in North Texas. The Dallas FBI office and some of the 70 law enforcement agencies that participated announced the results of Operation Sotaria Shield on Tuesday. Hold on, let me get my newscaster. These are the faces of the 244 men and women charged with exploiting children for the purpose of sex trafficking or pornography. And then the faces is in my thumbnail. It's the end of a month-long investigation by federal and local law enforcement of a crime that authorities say is a year-round problem. The number of offenders arrested and the children rescued in this operation are stunning, said Jake Holmes, the U.S. Attorney, Eastern District of Texas. It's stunning to hear them repeated here. Operation Sotaria Shield, which began in April, led to the rescue of 109 children. During this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued, I gotta drop my mic, were previously unidentified, said Plano Police Department Assistant Chief Dan Curtis. They'd never been reported missing. They had never had their abuse known to authorities. This is where I am going to stop. I'm going to repeat that. During this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They'd never been reported missing. These children were either rescued from traffickers or identified to have been trafficked in some form. But the ones that they found, some of them had never even been reported missing by anyone. Why not? So that led me to not want to do a reading so much on this bust, because that's out there. Hey, Fly God. Hey, Pouchy. T Ghost. Hey. I'm sorry. Anybody who I missed while I was reading. Ethereal. Valerie. Hello. It made me want to hone more in on that little part, because that would make me feel like their guardians may either one or two things, are negligent and don't care if the children just, maybe the children, they thought they were bad or unruly and, didn't care about them running, probably felt like they ran away. Or you have some guardians who may just have had other reasons for not reporting these child victims that were identified or rescued. That's what I want to pay attention to. We know that there are traffickers in the world, but what we don't really pay attention on is how some of these children end up in these situations. And maybe, just maybe, they're guardians. Cartels, sun shui, that too. But if they're not being reported missing, why? Okay, a cartel has taken your child and you live in a place where it's riddled with cartels and you know that there's no use in reporting them. That's one thing. That's one thing. Some of them, no one reported. It says, during this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified, meaning these were children that were never on the FBI's radar because their parents hadn't. Some children, their parents reported them missing, their guardians reported them missing, so they were on the FBI's radar. Many of them that were recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They'd never been reported missing. Their abuse had never been known to authorities. So, with that being said, let me unsheath the sword of truth. For those who have just joined, I was gifted an old set of swords. It's a set of 3. This is the smallest one. One of the larger ones is going to be used tomorrow in the group F Around and Find Out ceremony. But this one, my spirits told me to dedicate to, amongst other things, when I'm doing readings here on YouTube. And they said, call it the sword of truth. And when the trolls start trolling, take it out of its sheath and challenge them to a joust. I challenge you trolls to a joust. To a joust. All right. Hodgepodge of negligent parents sold into trafficking cartels threatening. As a truck driver, we are trained to look for these kids at high traffic areas. I've heard that. My cousin just started driving trucks, and he said, man, cuz if I told you about all the stuff I done seen out there already, you wouldn't want me to drive trucks. I was like, why wouldn't I want you to drive trucks? Why don't you trust yourself out there? Listen, once he said he started driving trucks, because he already a little different. So I was like, I'm going to keep my extra eye on you, cuz. You look like you like a lot lizard. That's what I told my cousin. You be out there with them lot lizards. I'm sure he is. Anyways, Most High Mother and Father God, thank you for this beautiful Monday, this day of the moon. Perfect for uncovering, perfect for divination, perfect for psychic visualization, circuit perfect for mediumization, perfect to joust with the trolls now that I have my sword of truth on God. Thank you for YouTube for allowing me this platform and for not interrupting me at this moment. Thank you for the beautiful people that are joining here with me today. Please, Spirit, since we know, because the FBI has just had this Operation Sotaria Shield, we already know that there are child traffickers out there, but they said that many of these children that they found or identified had never been reported. Spirit, can you tell me about why many of the children found in this child trafficking ring and others are never reported by their guardians? I know that there are many reasons, but Spirit, help me to understand why, even if it's from a general perspective. Give me an idea of the various reasons of why, at least in Operation Sotaria Shield, because they specified that they could have just left the article stating that they found 109 child victims and left it at that. But they They wanted to discuss the fact that they'd never been reported missing. And so, what is the deal with that? Even in all of the articles pointing out that fact, when that could have been something that was never mentioned, a detail that we didn't need to understand the story, but they gave it to us. Now, this is a traditional, this is a traditional family situation here. This is also family institutions, like social family institutions or legal, judicial, or whatever institutions. This tells me that sometimes families, this is a major arcana, so it is a very generalized. It's saying that there's various reasons why families don't, but it also tells me that there's an established reason why some families don't. Within the many families that don't, there are some that don't because they are contributing to the trafficking. And it also tells me that what they aren't saying is that a lot of these children also come from social service systems. I believe. It's my belief that what they're not telling us is that a lot of these children also come from social service institutions, and not reporting. They're not reporting them missing. They're not reporting abuses that are in foster and adoptive care places, or that they know of when they're called to homes. Challenge. The challenge is the Ten of Pentacles, and this is the family and community. What I see here is that the reason that they specified that they'd never been reported missing is that they're not talking about children that are stolen by cartels. They're not talking about those who are caught up in the cartels. They're specifically talking about children who are in communities, homes, with their mothers, fathers, grandparents, suburbs that come up missing, that no one reports missing. This gives me the image of my mind of a very American dream-esque neighborhood where you see kids riding on bicycles and small dogs running behind them. Birds are chirping. There are nicely manicured lawns and, hey there, Bob. Hi, Karen. Hi, little John and Timmy. The Truman Show type scenario. But the reality behind these communities is these are where they're not talking about the children that are caught up in prostitution. They're not talking about the children that are caught up in cartels. They're specifying the fact that they've never been reported missing because they want us to know that these children are coming from places where they're supposed to be missed. These children are supposed to be missed in the communities that they're saying this for. They're talking about, hey guys, it's like they're sending a Morse code. Hey guys, yeah, we picked up a lot of kids that were caught up in a bad situation, but guys, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They weren't on our radar, meaning they kind of have an idea of the cartel kids. They have them on their radar. They know where the black market fed children are that come from, being snatched from the cartel because they live in cartel riddled places. They have them on their radar. These are children that are not on their radar because they're supposed to be coming from communities that are safe. white collar, blue collar communities. They're pointing out that that's where a lot of these children are coming from and they're not being reported. Or the children are in their homes. There are reports of certain things from other people to CPS and they do nothing with the reports. King of Cups. This is probably the lead detective from the FBI who's overseeing this case. This man probably is responsible for other busts and maybe, just maybe, is not done because he has lots of intel and information. It's as if he knows more than he should, but he hasn't let on to as much as they know yet. And so the feds, they still are clocking people. They're not going to bust them all at once. From one bust, they get more intel that makes it easier to get more and more and more. So the FBI isn't done. The specific leader of these type of investigations, these trafficking, he's very, very, very familiar with the trafficking world, with the black market. He knows where to find them. He searches in churches. He knows about the rings in schools. He knows about not just the street rings, because he's found that these children are reported because they're coming from Brady Bunch type communities, which alerted him to other places of rings, like churches, like schools, like daycares, stuff like this that are supposed to be wholesome and safe. That is why they specified that they've never been reported missing. They're sending a message that we are now looking at you people that are coming from these affluent or safe, all American neighborhoods that aren't supposed to be crime riddled. We're not supposed to see your children missing. This isn't a cartel type of area here. We're talking about the suburbs, you and me, USA. They're now looking into those places because he's come up on some clues, some intel. And maybe this is something he already knew. They already knew. This new administration is draining the old swamp. So they know where to find the dirty dogs. And they're going to where they are secretly. They're not where the public would usually think to find trafficking rings. And they're alerting regular citizens that are only regular on the surface, but at nighttime, they're not regular. They're letting you know that we see you. We see you. This is, I mean, there are going to be more busts in the future, whether they are as publicized as this one or not, because there have been many busts. If you just type in trafficking busts, you'll see that there have been many in the recent years. Not all of them catch. This one was supposed to spread in the media because they wanted to spread the message to those rings that they know now, where they know they're coming for you guys too. The ones who were, very hidden in plain sight. Yes, JD. Even if he rubbed shoulders with them in the past, and I've said before, these could have been people that he knew of the past, but I don't think that I think that there are certain things that he didn't do. I think that his pageant world was a form of it, but I don't think it involved kids. And regardless of what his reasoning is for doing it, free the babies. That's all I care about. So it doesn't matter who frees the babies. Free the babies. I ain't calling nobody a hero. I'm saying free the babies. I think so, JD. I think behind the image, I agree. I think so. And furthermore, the thugs. I think he loves the thugs too. Cause he won. He won. He got treated like a whole rapper. They charged him with a whole RICO. I believe when that's probably why him and Elon fell out, because Trump got caught smoking blunts with the thugs from Brooklyn. He got to pledge his allegiance to white power because Elon saved him from prison. It's kind of like, excuse me, when the YNs get caught up by the feds, and instead of doing all that time, they release them back to the streets so that they can snitch. That's what Trump is for Elon, but he not a snitch. He just have to. All right, here's the presidency, Elon. Here's the presidency. In the near future, the FBI is going to continue freeing the babies. And no, we're not talking about justice. I don't see justice here so far. He's freeing the babies. It may just very well be a get back. Drain swamp to create a new swamp. Not to refill the swamp, because that's an old swamp. They want to create something new. A new enterprise. Trafficking is out. Now we harness energy. We have technology now, so humans are becoming obsolete almost in every way, even trafficking wise. That exposing Harvard, that Harvard morgue manager for trafficking body parts. Why would we do that when we make them now in our labs? Humans ill. Their body parts rot. You got to keep them on ice while you transplant them. Why, when we got this brand new cyborg 2100, that it's a detachable arm unit, and it is an extendo sword, but it also shoots out laser beams, and it replaces the real arm that humans used to have. It's the cyborg 2100. Pew, pew. It's a new detachable arm. That's how they're going to be advertising it, and at 3 a.m. when you're going to sleep, so that it gets into your subconscious, and all of a sudden you wake up like, damn, I need a new arm. This arm don't work no more. It don't do nothing. It don't stab. It don't shoot. It don't got no laser beam on it. Next thing you know, you woke and that new cyborg 2100 commercial come on, and you like, I need that. But because it was on at 3 a.m. the other night when you fell asleep, and it was programming you, so the next time when you were woke and you saw the commercial, now you need that. Now your regular human arm is dumb. What's this arm doing? They got robots now. We got to keep up. I need that new cyborg 2021 arm. Look, this it. Y'all like my new arm? My new cyborg 2021? This one, because they knew. So it don't got the laser beam on it. So far, all it does is sheath and unsheath. It's just a sword. But in about 10 more years, they're going to have a new one with bullets too. This is my new cyborg 2021. Why would I go back to Africa when I'm sitting on top of the world? KP? What a loser. Catch up. Catch up. You're like an old model human. We're cyborg 2021, 2100s over here. talking about go back to Africa. Why would I do that when I can just sitting on top of the world, top of the world, top of the world. At any given moment, I could be wherever I want, including wherever you at. Freeing the babies in the near future. The FBI isn't done, so traffickers beware. If you're watching this, beware. You get this one for free. Hey, Yamaguchi. Now, did somebody say earlier something about birthers or something not reporting them? If by birthers you meant their mothers, yes. Crowning them, what they're not saying is that I think that they have found that a lot of perpetrators or people that they have on their radar are women. Fun fact, I think that they are going to or are already looking into some schools. They are looking into daycare centers, including home daycare centers. They are looking into, somebody's saying something, pregnancy farms. There's something about, yes, women giving birth and not reporting, that too. Because in my mind, I see a place that looks like a recovery center for surgery. I see a place like that in my mind, and it looks just like one of those places that aren't licensed, because this would look like a regular house in the hood. Not like the hood so that it's too hood, but like a middle class area. It looks like a regular house. But inside, instead of, it's sort of like where girls go to recover from surgery. But yes, in my mind, I do see a place where girls go and have babies secretively. And they stay there, they recover for a few months. They nurse the babies. They even breastfeed them. It's actually a requirement. They breastfeed the babies there. They nurse them until the babies are a certain age to where they can be weaned off. And then the ladies leave. And it seems in my mind, they even have health care for the women to help them snap back. They even give them mommy makeovers, so they look as though they never had a baby. And then they come out of these centers as if, voila, no baby, never. It never existed. I just went and got a BBL, a full body makeover. But no, fun fact, because they'll say I have to get a cosmetic surgery and then I have to lose weight. That's what they say, because you do. For the BBL, you have to lose weight if you're a certain BMI before you can get the surgery. So they'll say they have to lose weight. Then they'll go underground as if they're hustling to get the weight off. But they're hiding pregnancies. And then they go to these places that I see that are in regular neighborhoods. They're in regular neighborhoods. They go give birth, recover, nurse babies, get treatments to, snatch back to look normal. After the babies are weaned, they leave with, fresh new bodies as if nothing happened and the babies are gone. Yes, I see that in my mind. So that's all I'm saying, is that I see that in my mind. And they absolutely look in my mind like recovery houses. Just like that, in the same areas they're in. Because I've seen recovery houses in Miami. I went to pick my I went to pick my cousin up from one. So it I was like, girl, you made